On December 5, 1945, 5 TBM Avenger torpedo bombers lifted off from Naval Air Station Fort Lauderdale for a routine afternoon of training. Their mission was a standard over-water navigation training exercise: fly east, drop practice bombs, and turn back home. The formation was led by Lieutenant Charles Taylor, a combat-experienced pilot with over 2,500 flight hours. But 2 hours into the flight, the routine ended. All 5 aircraft and the 14 men on board ceased radio contact and disappeared. When the Navy scrambled a PBM Mariner rescue plane to search for them that night, it also failed to return. The final tally was 27 men and 6 aircraft. Because no wreckage or bodies were found in the immediate aftermath, this lack of physical evidence became the foundation for the Bermuda Triangle legend. Tracing the actual flight path of the squadron reveals the geography behind why they never reached the mainland. The first signs of trouble arrived at 3:40 p.m. Radio transmissions indicated Lieutenant Taylor was confused. He specifically reported that both of his compasses had completely failed, and he could no longer identify the islands below him. This map shows the region. Taylor was convinced he had drifted hundreds of miles off course and was over the Florida Keys. Investigators later concluded Taylor was actually here, over the Bahamas. He had mistaken a different island chain for the Keys. Acting on his belief that he was in the Keys, Taylor ordered the squadron to fly north-northwest. This path would have taken them directly into the Florida mainland if his assumptions had been correct. But because the squadron was actually in the Bahamas, that same heading resulted in this red line. Every mile they flew toward what they thought was home actually took them deeper into the open Atlantic. A single geographic error reversed the results of their navigation. Their attempt to reach land ensured they remained over deep water until their fuel was exhausted. As evening approached, weather and sea conditions worsened. Military protocol and the instructor-student dynamic meant the other pilots maintained formation with their leader. At 6:20 p.m., a final static-filled transmission was recorded. Taylor ultimately ordered all 5 planes to ditch into the ocean together as soon as the first aircraft ran out of fuel. Heavy torpedo bombers like the Avenger were not designed to float. Ditching in rough, nighttime swells likely caused the aircraft to break apart and sink rapidly, leaving no debris on the surface. The search intensified that night as several aircraft launched from Naval Air Station Banana River, including the Mariner flying boat callsign Training 49. Shortly after takeoff, a merchant ship nearby reported a mid-air explosion. The heavy PBM Mariner was unfortunately known as a flying gas tank due to its tendency to accumulate volatile fuel vapors, which could ignite with a single spark. The loss of the rescue plane was the result of a known mechanical risk, a separate tragedy from the navigation error that claimed the Avengers. The following morning, the Navy launched a search covering 250,000 square miles. Hundreds of planes and ships combed the Atlantic for any sign of a life raft or an oil slick. They found nothing. Because searchers were looking in areas based on Taylor's reported locations, they scoured the wrong parts of the ocean while the planes were already on the seafloor. In the 1960s, pulp writers used this lack of wreckage to suggest paranormal causes. They connected Flight 19 to other local disappearances to create the concept of the Bermuda Triangle. Aviation experts point instead to spatial disorientation. This is a psychological state where a pilot's internal sense of direction becomes so powerful that they disregard their own instruments and the physical reality of the horizon. Today, the tragic loss of Flight 19 remains a profound case study in human perception and the sheer scale of the Atlantic Ocean. It is a reminder of how a single misidentified landmark can change the outcome of a mission.